Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're tackling a massive universal headache in IT. I mean, if you've ever spent hours banging your head against a keyboard because your code miraculously broke the exact second it went into production, well, you are in the exact right place. Today, we're exploring the container revolution and how it fundamentally solves unpredictable software failures.
Okay, let's dive into this. We've all been that developer, right? Just staring at a screen in total disbelief. You write the code, it runs perfectly during testing, you hand it off to operations, and suddenly, total meltdown. This represents the old way of doing things, unpredictable, hair-pulling failures that just waste so much time and money.
And what is the classic excuse that always follows? Well, it works on my machine. It's kind of become a running joke in the industry, but honestly, it highlights a very real, very costly problem. Apps notoriously behave completely differently across development, staging, and production environments. Section 1. The software failure problem. So let's peel back the layers here. Why does this incredibly frustrating phenomenon actually happen? The root cause almost always boils down to differences in the underlying environment. We're talking about mismatched dependencies, differing operating system libraries, or just conflicting configurations. When your laptop is running one version of a library and the production server is running an older one, your software shatters like glass. It really is that simple.
Section 2. The Container Promise.
Enter the absolute hero of our story, the container. The promise here is elegantly simple. You just package everything an application needs into one single, portable unit that runs identically anywhere. By bundling the code right alongside its specific dependencies, libraries, and configs, containers directly neutralize those root causes of failure we just looked at. Basically, the environment travels with the code. No matter where you drop it, a developer's laptop, a staging server, the cloud, it behaves exactly the same way.
Section 3. VMs versus containers. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is seeing how the new standard completely outclasses the old guard.
Think about virtual machines for a second. VMs have to emulate entire hardware stacks and require their own heavy operating system kernel. They chew up gigabytes of RAM and can take literally minutes just to boot up, like enough time to go grab a coffee. But compare that to containers. Because containers just share the host OS kernel, they are incredibly lightweight. We're talking megabytes instead of gigabytes, and they start up in seconds. The efficiency gains are just undeniable.
Which leads us to this really key insight. Containers are not just mini VMs. Actually, scratch that. It's better to think of them as isolated user space processes. Even though they share that underlying kernel, they maintain their own isolated file system, their own networking, and their own resource limits. So you get the strict isolation you need to stop environment conflicts, but with blazing speed.
Section 4. Core Container Concepts.
Let's break down the actual building blocks of this tech using a few concepts you might already know. First up is the image. An image is essentially a read-only blueprint that contains your application code, the runtime, the libraries, and the configuration. If you've done any object-oriented programming, you can think of an image exactly like a class. It's the static, unchanging definition of what your application should be. Next is the container. A container is simply a running instance of that image. And this brilliantly illustrates our OOP metaphor. If the image is the class, the container is the object instantiated from that class. Because of this architecture, you can run dozens or even hundreds of identical, completely independent containers simultaneously from just one single image. Then, of course, we have the registry, which is a storage hub for all of your images. The most popular public registry out there is Docker Hub. You can think of Docker Hub just like GitHub, but instead of pushing and pulling raw source code, you're pushing and pulling fully packaged, ready-to-run container images that anyone on your team can grab and use. Finally, we have layers. Images aren't just single massive blocks, they're actually built in stacked layers. Think of an application layer sitting on top of a library layer, which sits on top of a system calls layer. This is absolute genius because unchanged layers are cached. If you just update your app code at the very top, the container engine simply reuses all the bottom layers. That means lightning-fast builds and much, much smaller transfer sizes. Let's move to and see how this builds. Section 5. Under the Hood Magic. Okay, it's time to demystify the technology a bit. Containers are not actual magic, and they don't pull this isolation out of thin air. They rely entirely on concrete, rock-solid features built directly into the Linux kernel to provide their strict boundaries and resource control. This is exactly what guarantees your application won't randomly fail just because of a noisy neighbor on the same server. The first foundational piece of this puzzle is namespaces. This is the Linux feature that strictly isolates processes from one another. Thanks to namespaces, every single container gets its own completely isolated view of the system. It gets its own process ID tree, its own network interfaces, mount points, and users. As far as the container knows, it is the only thing running on the machine.
The second crucial piece is crew groups, or control groups. Now, while namespaces handle what a container can see, crew groups limit what a container can use. They continuously monitor and restrict the CPU, memory, and I/O usage per container. This guarantees that no single rogue container can just hog all the hardware resources, making sure the entire host system remains perfectly stable.
So, a container beautifully solves deployment failures for a single application. But what happens when your business scales and you suddenly need to deploy, network, secure, and manage thousands of these containers all at once without causing massive new systemic failures? How in the world do you orchestrate that kind of chaos? Well, that brings us to the industry gold standard of orchestration, Kubernetes. But we are going to have to save pods and clusters for our next explainer. Until then, ask yourself, is your code still just working on your machine? Thanks for joining me, and keep learning.